The following program is a paid commercial which has been paid for by the advertiser, whose products and/or services are featured in this program. Mindful of Your Health. Sponsored by Emergence Health Network.
Hi everyone, I'm Noreen Jaramillo, the host of your EHN Mindful of Your Health podcast. Thank you for being with us for another episode. Today we're going to talk about Suicide Prevention Month, which is the month of September, but obviously this is a very important topic that we want to make sure that we keep going throughout the year, every day, every month if we possibly can. So we have one of our EHN experts with us today. We have Veronica, who is one of our EHN crisis counselors. So Veronica, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing some very important information that we need to make sure stays on top of mind, throughout the year. So suicide prevention. I want to start off with what is one of the most important messages that you want to make sure we get across today?
Absolutely. One of the most important message that we want to deliver is that you are not alone. You or your loved ones are not alone. It could be overwhelming feelings for the individual, for the family members, and Emergence is here to provide that support. A little known fact, Noreen, and you stated, time is of the essence. Did you know that from 2000 to 2021, suicide was responsible for increased 36%, 36%.
Wow.
And it was responsible for a little over 48,000 deaths, which is, now this is the interesting fact, it's about one suicide per every 11 minutes. So it is a very serious topic that must be addressed.
Okay. So obviously we use the month of September to kind of put more awareness out there, make sure that we're talking about it. But again, this is something that we should be mindful of throughout the year.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow. Once every 11 minutes. That's a heartbreaking statistic.
That is the facts derived from the CDC.
Okay.
When I saw that fact, it was
mind-blowing. Huh?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. So thank you for bringing it, to our community, the awareness and the importance of it. Because one is one too many.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some tangible, tips and helpful information that we can share. How can we recognize when a loved one needs help or might be thinking about doing something like this?
That is an excellent question. Starting off with a behavioral change. They might start isolating.
Okay.
They might start talking about death. Might start making comments such as, my family would be better off without me. They might start thinking of purchasing a firearm or collecting some pills to maybe overdose on. So behavioral changes. Some of those are some of many signs that we need to look out for.
Okay. Would you say that it's safe to say that as a loved one, you might recognize some of these behaviors, but you're like, no. Is that kind of the process too?
Absolutely. And that is one of the main concerns that we kind of avoid those signs. Because it goes back to its overwhelming feelings. No, it's not going to happen. The signs are there. And we must address them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And we should maybe take if the stigma wasn't associated with, it's better to have that conversation than not have it.
Absolutely. Many of us believe that if we ask that question, if we explore their thoughts, their feelings,
right,
it's going to provoke them to do it. That is not true. It's quite the contrary. What they need is someone just to listen to them. Hear me, hear my pain, and let me process that pain with someone. And validate their emotions, allow them a safe place, and praise them for engaging you and allowing them to help them. Absolutely.
Okay, that's important information because you're right. The first thing you would think is, oh no, I don't even want to bring up the word.
That's right.
But that is, you need to be very frank with them.
Very direct.
Okay.
But in a very gentle way. Because remember, being mindful of how they're feeling, they might be feeling hopelessness,
okay,
sad, lonely. So we want to go in it in a very gentle, soft way, but direct, and asking them questions such as,
Okay, I was going to say, can you give us an
Okay.
example of how would we approach that?
absolutely. It's as simple as, are you thinking of ending your life? Are you thinking of suicide? Are you thinking of harming yourself? Are you thinking of going and getting a gun? It isn't necessary. We need to understand and make sure what they are thinking and how we can help them. And then we could also let them know, I know it's not easy. I know you're in pain, but I'm here to support you. What can I do for you? And then also appreciate how courageous they are for opening up.
So as you were saying that to me, and you found the courage to ask someone, are you thinking of killing yourself? And they're courageous enough to say yes. What is your follow-up question?
Immediately get help. Immediately. Thank you. I think the first, let me answer that question. So if they say yes, thank them. Thank them for being courageous and engaging you. And then let them know, don't ever leave them alone.
Okay.
And then seek help. You could call 911.
Mm-hmm.
You could, our crisis facility,
crisis hotline.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Our hotline. There's the national hotline as well.
Mm-hmm.
Seek help, but do not leave them alone. Do not leave them alone.
We talked about our crisis hotline number, which, by the way, is 915-779-1800, or you could just simply dial 988. But we can, like, if I have a concern for someone and I'm worried about them, I could also use that hotline to talk to one of our professionals. And they can give you guidance on what you're talking about right now. This is what you're going to want to do. This is what you're not going to want to do. They're going to assess whether we need to get them immediate attention or let's just get them into services. So that's a resource for our community that I think we need to share, that it's not just for an individual who might be contemplating something right then, but it's for loved ones to call and say, I'm concerned about this individual, and they're basically going to get the information that you're sharing. So I wanted to make sure that we got that across. So let's go on to something here. What should we avoid saying during a time like this?
We should avoid, if they come to you,
Okay.
and they're telling you, I'm thinking about ending my life, avoid statements such as, get over it, it's going to be better. There's other individuals who have it worse than you. Minimizing their feelings. That's what we need to avoid, comments such as that.
Okay, so that could be way more detrimental. And again, you don't know what to say, right? But hopefully, thankfully, you're giving us some suggestions on what we should say as opposed to those comments that we think are helpful, but they're really not.
They're not. They are not, because we are not validating their feelings. We're minimizing that, and it can make it worse for them. And it's as simple as saying, I'm here. How may I help you?
Okay.
That's it. How may I help you?
Okay. And how I want to talk about adults, and maybe there is no difference, but adults versus teens. Do we take this approach differently?
No.
Okay.
It's the same. It's the same. It's, once again, just validating their emotions and listening to them. Just listen. That's perhaps what they just need right now. They have all these thoughts in their head, and there's a lot of clutter. And because of that clutter, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So all they're thinking of, let me just end it. When you come around and say, I'm here for you, that gives them the opportunity to, let me just get it out. We don't need to go into advice mode. We don't need to go into comment mode. Just, I'm here. Let me listen to what you have to say and validate those feelings. I can see it's very challenging for you right now. If I was in your shoes, I too would be a little bit overwhelmed.
Okay. I like that, Veronica. This is good information. Often the conversation about suicide prevention is about being that lifeline that we're talking about,
Yes.
right? And being that difference in the conversation. But it's got to be a little scary to start that conversation, right? But it can really make a difference. What, though, can you do if you need help, like immediately? They're in that crisis mode where something is developing right now. What's the advice then?
I would say at that moment in time, call 911
Okay.
immediately. If it's already escalated, let's call 911. Let's get help immediately.
Okay.
Absolutely. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. And I also want to take some time to share that EHN, and here in El Paso, we have a partnership with El Paso Police Department.
Correct.
So when you do call, and if you have to, and you're ever in a situation where you have to call 911, make sure they know that, so-and-so is suicidal, this is happening now, because they will do their very best to deploy one of our EHN professionals with police to make sure that situation is handled correctly.
That is correct, Noreen. Thank you for bringing that up. We are in partnership with the police department. Our crisis specialist will assist them as well to provide that help that both the loved one and the individual needs, and to try to de-escalate the situation immediately.
Okay, so you guys are trained in that, technique. I don't know what the correct word is, but to help with de-escalation first.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the crisis specialist at Emergence, we are trained. We get extensive training to be able to de-escalate the situation in partnership, once again, with the police department.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about a related topic,
Okay.
which is suicide survivor.
Okay.
Tell us what this is, and why is it important for these individuals or survivors to also be on our radar that we need to take care of them?
So a suicide survivor is a loved one of an individual who unfortunately passed away due to suicide. Why do we keep them on our radar? Because it's not easy. When someone loses an individual, especially due to suicide, they are overwhelmed with a lot of emotions, one being guilt. And we need to also make sure that they are okay and they receive the services that they also need.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are some of the emotions? You talked about the emotions on top of their grief, right, which compounds everything. So what should let's start with avoid saying to these individuals?
To the survivors, they are in a better place. You need to be strong for your other children. Comments such as that. Once again, similar to the individual who was thinking about suicide.
Okay.
Try to refrain from those kind of comments. I think intention is meant well,
Right.
but it's not at all received that way. And it goes back to the same thing, is just listen to them.
Okay.
And
How could you start a conversation with a survivor?
I am so sorry for your loss. How may I help you?
Something as simple as that.
Something as simple as that. I'm here for you. I know it's not easy. I can't even imagine what you're going through, so I'm not even going to try.
Okay.
But what I do know is that pain is very deep and challenging. So what can I do for you? Tell me, what can I do for you?
Okay.
Just be genuine, and give them that support.
Okay. And knowing that someone is there is that difference we were talking about, correct?
That's it. That's all they need.
Okay.
We don't have to complicate it. It is, I'm going to give you an acronym that I came across. It's VAR, V-A-R.
Okay.
V stands for validate their emotions.
Okay.
Validate. They might be going through, and you mentioned, what are those emotions?
Yeah.
Right? Well, some of those emotions are on top of the grief is intense anger. Intense anger. It could also be that they're divorced from the memory of the loved ones.
Okay.
Because it's the loved one that seems to have taken this choice, right? They feel maybe blame. because of the stigma, judged.
Yeah.
Your loved one did this to
this.
them. How dare they, So they're on top of the grief, a lot more emotions. So validate. They might be angry at whoever. Just let them process that.
Okay.
And then IA stands for appreciate them for, once again, being courageous and experiencing their emotions and talking to you and getting it out, because that wasn't easy for them.
Okay.
And then R stands for let's refer them.
Okay.
Let's refer them to a service so that they get the help from a professional.
Okay.
VAR.
Now you said, well, we're on this topic. EHN actually provides some services specific to suicide survivors, correct? Can you tell us about
Yes.
that? Okay.
So the last Tuesday of every month at our crisis facility on Yandell,
Okay.
from 6 to 7:30, we have a suicide survivor group.
Okay.
And the purpose of this is for, once again, the loved ones of an individual who has lost due to suicide.
Okay.
So we meet on Yandell and we just come together and let's share our story. Let's, come together, process our emotions.
Are people apprehensive to reaching out in that setting? It's got to be really helpful though, correct?
It is very helpful.
Okay.
Most recently, we received a couple of individuals who have come in. I have facilitated the group. I'm actually in charge of the group, and we've seen where there was nobody coming in to now we're starting to see individuals come in. And at the end of the group, I'll ask them, did this help? Right? To kind of assess, how is it working? Is it not? What do we need to change? What are their needs? Are we meeting their needs? And bottom line, all of them, and they'll say it helped. And it's helped is simply because they're talking, they're getting it out, they're being validated, any and every emotion, and they're not being judged.
Okay. That they're in a safe place.
They are in a safe place with a professional.
Got it.
Because it could also become too overwhelming, right? So that's why we want you to seek the help of a professional, because if once you start processing, if it becomes a little bit overwhelming, we as professionals know exactly, we have techniques to help de-escalate at that moment in time as well.
Okay. And even how to recognize it, right?
And even how to, exactly.
Okay. So one more time, is there anything that we missed that we want to make sure that we get across on this very, very important topic?
I think you touched on every important point, Noreen, so I appreciate that. Once again, we cannot stress enough that you are not alone. You will never be alone with emergence. We are here for you, your loved one. You could come on Tuesday, the last Tuesday of every month, to the group. The hotline, as Noreen stated, call our 1-800 our hotline, or facility if you feel you need help for an evaluation, and we can make a determination what is the best thing for you based on your needs. And once again, please remember that acronym VAR. Validate their emotions. Just validate and just attentively listen to them. There's no need to go into problem solving or advice mode. They don't need that. And thank them for being so courageous and opening up.
That's the appreciation.
That's the appreciation.
And then lastly is
refer them to the professional.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate the very, very helpful information. All this information, by the way, is also on our website, which is emergencehealthnetwork.org. If you do need someone right away, 988 or 779-1800, or the facility that you were talking about that is open 24/7 for individuals needing immediate help, is at 1601
East Yandell.
East Yandell.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. Hopefully this information was helpful. We'll see you next time.
We
We are Emergence Health Network, caring for our community for more than 55 years. Our mental health professionals provide trauma-informed care through our 24-hour crisis services, children and adult outpatient clinics, substance use treatment programs, assistance for our military, and programs to help individuals with developmental disabilities. Through community collaborations, we have also worked to expand behavioral health access in our schools and on our streets. At EHN, we are committed to your mental well-being. This is us, working for you.
Thank you for letting us be mindful of your health. Brought to you by Emergence Health Network. We'll see you next time. The preceding program was a paid commercial which has been paid for by the advertiser whose products and/or services are featured in this program.